Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold. Touchdown! Every hit, every play.
Welcome to the NFL.
Every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? I'm Kyle from the Dome Discussions Podcast. Today I'm here with Caleb Yacarino, Drew Collins, and Nick Jennings. And today we're going to be previewing the Saints versus Cardinals Week 1 matchup. We've been waiting, and we are finally here. This is the last episode before we get real official Saints football. Before we could talk into the X and O's and everything about the game, we want to get into the injury report that recently came out. This is Wednesday's injury report. So Alontae Taylor, Jordan Howden, Christian Boyd, and Chase Young were all limited, while Trevor Penning did not participate. And for the Cardinals, offensive line, Will Hernandez was limited, and John Gaines III was a full participant. I'm going to let you guys kind of start us off here. What are some names that we should notice and some things that concern you about this injury report?
Yeah, I think Alontae Taylor being back is huge, especially considering how big his role will be in Brandon Staley's defense. We know that covering tight ends has been a huge issue for New Orleans in the past, and that's been one of Alontae Taylor's strengths. So it'll be great to have him out there against Trey McBride, who had a breakout season last year. And I really hope Trevor Penning can go. Kellen Moore said we'll see about Week 1. It's on his turf toe is on the opposite foot than the one that he suffered his rookie season. The one that really gave him some trouble, made him miss 11 weeks. This one is way less significant, which was reported. And Penning was seen walking through the locker room without a boot last Wednesday. So that's all good stuff to hear. In regards to Chase Young, who also suffered an injury in yesterday's practice, Kellen Moore said he's day-to-day. It sounds like this weekend might be in doubt, but Kellen Moore seemed to downplay the injury, calling it just a little something. So we'll be monitoring those three, but I hope that Trevor Penning is able to go, and I'm glad that Alontae Taylor will be out there for Week 1.
Yeah, in regards to the Chase Young injury, Nick Underhill on Twitter said it sounds like this weekend could be at risk. And again, he said day to day, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's one of those things that it's like, okay, it's a calf injury. Calf injuries could be scary, that it could turn into something else. I know in basketball, that's a whole nother thing where if you strain your calf, a torn Achilles is, if you keep playing, it's probably going to happen. So like calf injuries are very scary. So again, it all depends, but maybe rushing him into Week 1 may not be the best idea, but like if it's all good, then he should play. And Chase Young is so important to this defense that it's going to be a big hit to this defense if he doesn't play. It's great that Alontae Taylor's back. Hopefully he plays this weekend. And then also with Trevor Penning, personally, I wouldn't rush him into starting. I think Torricelli Simpkins can play there. I think Dylan Radins can play there. I don't think that he's such a necessary part of this offensive line that you need to rush him and risk the injury becoming worse for the rest of the season. But having him back would still be huge.
Chase Young not playing would be a huge loss for this team, especially going up against Cardinals where they have a mobile quarterback like Kyler Murray. He's coming off the edge. He's going to play a big part in trying to contain him. And if the Saints don't have him, it's going to be a lot tougher to find that replacement for him. But I also want to talk about the Cardinals, not who's not on it. And that's Walter Nolan and BJ Ojulari, who are actually on the PUP list. So Walter Nolan, first-round pick in 2025, BJ Ojulari, second-round pick in 2023. Those are two big, fast rushers that are going to be non-available for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and I think you guys hit on most of the concerns there. It's Alontae Taylor, Trevor Penning, and Chase Young. I would say with the Chase Young injury, it's also it's a new scheme, and you really want to get these guys out there early. Also with Alontae Taylor, where you want them to get the system down as quick as possible and as early as possible, and delaying it by a week. While obviously it's probably better for their health and for the long run of the season, it will hurt their, I guess you could say like development and finding the fit in the scheme, because you need to find things that's going to work. Defense Week 1 is probably going to look a little bumpy, but also, we do know for week one that defenses usually get off to a better start. It takes a little bit longer for offenses. So maybe this is where you sit these guys just for safe, because you want these guys. These are guys that you still want to develop. These are guys that you want later down the season, obviously. So you might bench these guys week one just so they're healthier. You don't risk anything, and then you really start to get your system down the week after.
Yeah, and having a fully healthy pass rush is super important for the pass defense also because they could take pressure off of our young corner group. And if Chase Young is out and the pass rush really struggles, then I believe that the pass defense will also struggle because it's just such an inexperienced group right now, and it is such a question mark on this defense that we want that pass rush to be dominant or even just make a difference in the game. And I think with Kyler Murray extending plays, it could get scary quick if Chase Young is out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of matchups throughout this game that we're going to have to pay attention that we're going to lose with the injury. Chase Young not being there to contain, possibly not being there to contain Kyler Murray, Alontae Taylor learning his new role and mirroring whichever receivers he will. Hard. Yeah, basically, there's a lot of matchups for the Saints that we're going into that we're going to have to focus on too. I'm going to start us off with what I'm paying attention to and I'm worried about, or what I'm hoping the Saints can establish early, and that's, can the Saints get the run game going? Obviously, before I get into the X and those parts of it that I want to focus on, young quarterback Spencer Rattler. Yes, he's played in games. He had all last season, but you still want to get the run game going for a young passer. And with that, the Saints are going against a defense that didn't do great against it last year. I'm going to pull up the numbers here, but they were a little less in the middle of the pack. They were the 13th worst in total run defense last year, and they were 7th in yards per carry allowed. So they let you run the ball quite a bit. And for the Saints, that's something that Kellen Moore wants to do. We obviously know that he led one of the best rushing teams last year with Saquon Barkley, but you don't have the Eagles' offensive line anymore. You don't have Saquon Barkley anymore. And you know how well we think the Saints' offensive line is and how much we like Alvin Kamara. You could probably say there's a little bit of a talent deficit there in a sense. Before the Saints last year, they were 14th in run offense and 14th in total run offense and yards per carries as well. So they were a middle of the pack team. We're hoping Kellen Moore can come in here, make this team run ball heavy, and get the run game going so your young quarterback can succeed. What I want to see is I want to see a lot of split carries early. I want to see Alvin Kamara out there. I want to see Kendre Miller out there, and throw a third running back out there, Devin Neal preferably, and get these guys reps, keep fresh legs, run the ball well, run the ball northwest. That was not north-south. Yeah, man, I'm not on it today. Just get the run game going. It's going to be pivotal to setting up the play action, which we know Kellen Moore wants to do. It's going to be pivotal to get everything that you want established. And if you can get an early lead, being able to run the ball and just stall time or just get any type of game where it's not a shootout, running the ball is going to be the best way to do that.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about wanting to see kind of that dual back system with Kendre Miller seeing a lot of looks as well. Kellen Moore actually touched on that. I think it was yesterday in his post-practice presser. Moore said Alvin Kamara is going to get the bulk of the workload in the run game. He said others will have to be ready to step up because there's going to be opportunity, but expect a lot of Alvin Kamara. So that's something to keep an eye on. What I'm personally looking forward to watching against the Cardinals is how Kool-Aid McKinstry fares against Marvin Harrison Jr. This will be very telling of how the Saints cornerback room will look for the rest of the season. Obviously, Kool-Aid McKinstry's taking on a bigger role this season with that cornerback one spot. And Marvin Harrison Jr. looks to have had a great offseason, put on a lot of muscle. Obviously, just having that year without the draft, that full offseason definitely helped him. So that'll be a big task for Kool-Aid. They made a bold move shipping off Marshawn Lattimore last season. Now it's time to see if it paid off. And clearly they had the confidence of Kool-Aid McKinstry, and he had a great offseason. So we'll see if it all comes together on Sunday. But I'm also looking forward to seeing if the Saints can contain Kyler Murray. We know the Saints have had trouble stopping mobile quarterbacks. And look, Kyler Murray is 0-3 against Brandon Staley-led defenses. So we'll have that to hold on to. But other than that, we know how the Saints, we all remember Tyson Bagent tearing up the Saints defense with his legs. And look, Trey Lance did it this preseason as well with the Chargers. So it's still clearly an issue. And look, we know it was a vanilla defense in the preseason. So hopefully we see a bit more of that containment, being able to stop those mobile quarterbacks, because that and the tight ends have just been the Saints' kryptonite for so long. And it'd be good to see it come to fruition now against Kyler Murray in week 1, because I think this is a bigger game than a lot of fans are letting on to set the tone for the Saints season.
Yeah, and in regards to the pass defense, shutting down Marvin Harrison is going to be so vital to the defense entirely, because he is really the main receiver and he's hungry to show out in year 2. He was a top pick in the draft and had a fine year, but was definitely not living up to those expectations. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to want to bounce back, and he's going to want to destroy the Saints. So shutting him down is going to really help the rest of the defense. But also Trey McBride is a big threat for this pass defense, and we know how bad the Saints have been against tight ends. Hopefully it changes, but he's going to be a massive part of this Cardinals offense. With the contain, I feel like Cam Jordan has kind of had Kyler Murray's number in games when they played. I feel like he's played well, and I think he actually talked about that recently in one of his interviews, that he's actually done pretty well against Kyler Murray. I could be wrong, but I think that's something that I remember. But my focus is actually the Saints' run defense against the Cardinals' running game, and not even about Kyler Murray just running out of the pocket and rushing. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the Cardinals running back. So they have Trey Benson and they have James Conner. James Conner has been weirdly great. Like, he shouldn't be so good, but he is. And he can absolutely destroy run defenses and just break any kind of defense you're trying to run and run through you. And was such a big issue with the Saints last season. And they've put so much investment into the run defense that if it isn't good, and not even worrying about Kyler Murray, just running up the middle and gaining yards, if they can't stop that, I am worried for the rest of the season, because they put so much investment in this. This is the perfect first test. And then I'm also focusing on the coaching. Like you kind of said, Nick, where it was kind of vanilla coaching during the preseason. I want to see the playbook just expanded and see all types of plays. We saw in the LSU, I was going to mention it, in the LSU week 1 game win against Clemson, where just the run plays were so exotic. I expect, maybe not as exotic, but I expect some crazy play calls by Kellen Moore in this game. Kellen Moore starts slow in seasons. He kind of has to learn the offense. The Eagles' offense was not good at the beginning of the season last year. They struggled, but he found the groove. If Kellen Moore can start off strong, I feel a lot better about this offense. Do I expect that? No, but that's definitely something I'm watching in this game.
You were saying the Saints are going to have their handful with not only James Conner, but Trey Benson. I believe he's a 2nd or 3rd round pick in 2024 out of Florida State. This kid can run. He's powerful. He's fast. It's going to be a dynamic duo for the Saints to stop. But what I'm really focusing on is the pass rush for the Cardinals going up against the Saints. Spencer Rattler is going to need all the time he can get if he wants to cook against this Cardinals defense. And they've got a really good pass rush group that they've rebuilt. They have Josh Sweat, 8 sacks last year, recently signed from the Eagles. Calais Campbell, who despite being 39 years old, is still a stud. He's had five sacks in 2024, and he's had at least 5 sacks the past 3 seasons. So he's still a great rusher. Dalvin Tomlinson, who I believe is best known for the Vikings, but he has 3 sacks in back-to-back seasons, 19 in his 8-year career. He's a formidable run defender. He's really good. Darius Robinson, a first-round pick out of Missouri in 2024. He's a stud. I don't have his stats on last year, but he is a definite threat. Then they have Jordan Birch, who they drafted in the 3rd round this year out of Oregon. Big guy. He's going to be another really good option for them. And that's not even counting in Walter Nolan or BJ Ojulari, who won't play this game. So the Saints' offensive line is going to be tested early. I believe them defending Rattler, giving him time to throw, will be the difference between the offense having a good day and being able to drive down the field, or the offense looking stagnant and having a lot of 3-and-outs. They're going to need to give him all the time he can get to let Olave get open, let Shaheed get open. I'm kind of worried about how they hold up. I think the tackles they're both young, but I really like what I've seen. It's really the interior with Calais Campbell. Then maybe they put Josh Sweat or someone there too. But that's what I'm really worried about, and that I feel like they're going to be tested at.
Yeah, and I'm glad you highlighted the interior, because we've seen that be a problem over and over, from last year after Eric McCoy went down to the preseason where Cesar Reeves was out there on his own, and it really seemed like he couldn't hold his own in a preseason, which is something that's No, that's concerning. But the offensive line to me is the most important matchup that we have to watch because that is your difference from being able to run the ball at all, being able to throw the ball at all. And if you can't run the ball or protect Spencer Rattler is not going to have a good game. I mean, that's just the simplicity of it. And then there's other matchups that we haven't even mentioned. Chris Olave, Rashici, Devon Vele, I'm sorry, Brandon Cooks. These guys are all going against a very young cornerback room. Max Milton, Will Johnson, and Garrett Williams, all guys with 3 years or less of experience. So there's a lot that we can look forward to in the offense, and a lot that the Saints could take advantage of, and the weak points and their strengths. And obviously the strengths is that pass rush, that D line. And unfortunately for the Saints, that's probably where you didn't want to see their strengths coming from. But once we get to bold predictions, I have one that I'm ready to get into because I think it'd be exciting and fun. But before we get into that, I want to go into the trivia. I picked the trivia today. You know what? I'm not even going to give any background information. I'm just going to get right into it to try to make it as hard as possible. But I do think it's gettable if you really think about it. So I'm going to start us off. This player started his career with the Steelers, went to the Packers, and ended his career with the Saints.
I don't think it is, but because he was drafted by the Packers, but is it Taysom Hill? Oh, you said ended his career. Never mind.
Yeah. Well,
I just thought Packers Saints.
I guess I did give it away a little bit, huh? With the end of his career.
Yeah. That Steelers one's weird.
You said what?
The Steelers one's weird.
It actually is. That is going to be the one that I think would throw most of us off.
Packers Saints.
And if you guys want me to go to years, I'll go to years.
See, what's scaring me is Nick is puzzled. And that's not a good sign.
Yeah. I think years would be helpful.
Yeah. So Steelers in 2006, Packers from 2007 to 2015, and Saints from 2016 to 2017.
Oh my gosh. So he was basically on the Packers forever.
Mm-hmm.
Position will tell you exactly who it is. I'll tell you that.
Is it a wide receiver?
No, it is not a wide receiver. Hey, I finally got one that's not, you couldn't grab it right away. That makes me happy.
Oh, no. He's too recent.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I want me to do position.
Yeah.
It will give it away. It's a fullback.
Oh,
No.
oh no.
Zach
Oh,
Line?
no.
It's what's up?
Is
No,
it
it is
Zach
not
Line?
Zach Line. No.
Is it what's his name? I forgot his first
I
name.
know.
He had a chant whenever he ran the ball. The whole stadium with his last name just.
It's Kuhn, ain't it?
Yeah, John Kuhn.
I forgot his first name.
That's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was John Kuhn. After he'd run the ball, the whole stadium. Kuhn. I remember barely. What, this 2016, 2017, I was still only like 14, barely cared about a fullback. So it's awesome seeing everybody run the ball. And all right, but this Drew, you said you have another one. Is it?
I've got another one. Yeah,
Do you think
I don't know how
tough?
this one might be obvious, but we'll see. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go. If it sounds obvious,
Famous last words.
Okay. So Packers, Jaguars, Washington, Saints, Jets.
It just sounds like DJ Swearinger again.
Just doing them again.
I don't know. I thought Trey Herndon. It's not, but
Saints.
You want me to say it again?
I think I got it, but you could.
Yeah,
Packers, Jaguars, Washington, Saints, Jets, and that's the Redskins. I'll clarify that right now.
Okay, so went to Washington to the Saints. I'll have to keep that. Ooh.
is it a cornerback?
No.
I'm bad with positions today.
The
How
years
say
will help on
Washington,
this one. The years will really help on this one, if you guys want that.
Let's go years.
Okay. So he played for the Packers in 1994, Jaguars in 1995 to 2003, Washington from 2004 to 2006, Saints from 2008 to 2009, Jets from 2010 to 2011.
I'm gonna just start throwing out cornerbacks. Or he's not a cornerback. I'm gonna start throwing out positions.
You all know this player. I know that for a fact.
He was a Super Bowl
Probably.
winner. He was a Super Bowl winner. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that makes it worse.
No, I'm just thinking of every position I could.
This is bad.
I feel like position will give it away. Or tell a lot, at least.
Safety? All right, go ahead and give us the position.
He's a quarterback.
Backup quarterback during the Super Bowl run?
He's not known for the Saints. He's known for the Jaguars.
It's Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell, yeah.
Why?
I did not know he
Mark
played
Brunell.
for Washington.
He apparently did, yeah. He's known for the Jags. That's what I was trying to, yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
I know he had that big of a career span.
I didn't either. I
I
thought it was
heard
just Jags Saints.
I thought it was Jags Saints, and I was pretty sure he played for the Jets too. I didn't know he played for the Packers or.
I actually think I knew he played for the Jets for some reason.
I clocked out after 1994.
Yeah.
Or 1998, whichever one it was.
94 for the Packers.
Okay, we're gonna go to the bold predictions now. So we're gonna start off with our bold predictions for the game. I think since I kind of hinted towards it last time, I'll just start off with this one as well because I think the Saints. I feel like I've predicted this 3 times, so let's hope I hit it this time. I think the Saints offense is going to have a great first half. I think the Saints offense is actually going to start. I feel like the game plan is going to be solid. It's going to set the Saints up well. And I think they not score 3 touchdowns, but they have 3 different scoring drives in the first half, no matter how you draw it up, 2 touchdowns, a field goal, 2 field goals, 3 field goals. I think the Saints offense is going to score early and kind of get a little bit of a lead there where I can, again, where I talked about it earlier, where they can start to run the ball. That's my hope. That's a hope a lot, but it is going to be my bold prediction. I think Spencer Rattler is going to get a real easy drive where he's not going to throw the ball a lot on the first drive. I think the Saints are going to be able to hand the ball off, establish the run early, get a lead, hopefully make the Cardinals one-dimensional, and that's where you can hopefully find a game plan, a way to win, is get a lead early, run the ball, and control the clock.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little more positive with my bold predictions, but obviously it'll be Kellen Moore's debut as a head coach, so I'm going into the game with very low expectations. It's a much younger and less experienced team. Well, I wouldn't say younger. The Saints have an average age of around 26 years old, but much less experience. So I'll be heading into week 1 thinking the Saints will lose 24-13. Kyler Murray snagging his first victory over Brandon Staley. My bold predictions are I have Spencer Rattler throwing for over 200 yards without committing a turnover. I have the Saints defense racking up 4+ sacks with the 3-4 schemes debut without it being such a vanilla defense. I'm really excited to see that how the edge rushers fare. That's why I'm hoping that Chase Young will be able to get out there. But again, don't rush him. But then I also have Blake Grupe hitting 2 50+ yard field goals. I am all on the Blake Grupe All-Pro train. This is the year. He deserves it. So we'll see if he can put it all together in the season because he had a hell of an offseason.
I just want to go back to Kyle's bold prediction. I think this game is one. If the Saints are going to win this game, which actually I do, I think they're going to win 20-14. I think it's going to be defense. Like I don't see if it turns into a shootout, it's over. The Saints won't win. I truly do not think it's going to happen. They need to be able to stop the Cardinals, and I think this is a great game to stop the Cardinals because they have been more of a one-dimensional team. Like Kyler Murray, we don't talk about Kyler Murray as a top 10 quarterback. He has been injury prone and just not destroying teams. So this is the game to take advantage of that. But my bold prediction, I kind of talked about Cam Jordan earlier, but I think he actually gets 2 sacks in this game. I think we're getting towards the Cam Jordan retirement area, and I think he's going to go out with a bang this season. I really think he's going to have a really good season. I mean, in preseason when he did play, he was flying. I mean, he was speedy, like faster than I've seen in 5 years. And I really think he sacked Kyler Murray twice in his career. I just looked it up. And I think he's going to get 2 in this game. I think he's going to have Kyler Murray's number in this new scheme. And I just really think he's going to be dominant, especially if Chase Young is out.
I was trying to debate my bold prediction, and I think I've got two. First one, I think Olave is going for 100 yards. I think he is going to have a big breakout season, stay healthy this year, and I think he's going to start that off strong with a 100-yard performance in week 1. The other one, I'm going in his first game with the Saints, Devon Vele catches the touchdown pass. Like I said, the pass rush for the Cardinals is great. Rattler's going to be looking, especially in the red zone, to give it up to a big red zone threat who can come down with the ball. And I think that's going to be Devon Vele. So I think he's going to have a touchdown catch, and Olave is going to pass the century mark.
Kind of
Yeah,
just
and real
wanted
quick,
Wow.
We just got a notification come through. Amari Cooper actually just retired out of nowhere with the
didn't he
run.
sign?
Yeah,
Or no?
He just
signed for the
signed
Raiders.
at the end of training camp. He just
Long live
retired.
that
He
reign.
he pulled a Antonio Brown where
Yeah.
he signed and just left immediately.
Just took a
Goodness
week with the
gracious.
Raiders, and he said he has no desire to play. That's what he said.
That was enough.
wow.
Well,
Right.
I'm not betting on the Raiders this year. That's all I'm hearing. Real quick, I just wanted to go back to what Drew was talking about with the Devon Vele thing. When we talked, I don't know who brought it up. I think it was Kyle, but I could be wrong about the offensive line and how important it is in the passing game and everything. I think that's going to be something where I don't see the offensive line doing exceptional in this game. I could see them having some struggles. Devon Vele is the target if they have some struggles. Love Juwan Johnson. I really do. But I think Devon Vele is going to be that safety blanket for Spencer Rattler in this game. And I can see him having a massive game because of that, like 8 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. Like that's such a easy. If the pass rush is just beating the tackles, the interior offensive line is not doing well. I really think Devon Vele could have a massive game. And
Yeah,
the cornerback room for the Cardinals they're not great. Like this is the
they're young.
area to take advantage. They're young and they're just
very
like
young.
so inexperienced that like you take advantage. We talked about how important the run game is, and it is important. But if the Saints, I really think they're going to be able to take advantage of this pass defense.
Come on, Devon Vele's young too. He's only in year 2, guys.
I'm interested to see who Will Johnson's going to match up with. I feel like that's going to be a key piece. Will he follow Olave, or will he play one side? Or I have high faith in him. I loved Will Johnson coming out of the draft last year, and I think he's going to be an amazing number 1 corner for Cardinals. Which I was looking at their depth chart. I believe he is listed as the number 1 corner right now.
Yeah,
I would hope Kellen Moore puts Rashid Shaheed on him at every moment.
Yes,
because
that was the one thing he was lacking with was
if
his
he's
speed.
not fast,
Mm-hmm.
you just attack.
You've got to exploit that.
Kellen Moore would be the coach to do that. Like that's the one thing I think going into this where we heard about Kellen Moore. It's like he takes advantage of what he has in front of him, and they will beat Will Johnson if they put speed on him.
Johnson's biggest weakness going to be tested heavily in week 1 against the Saints team. That's
one of the main reasons he fell in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talk about that now. I feel like that's one area the Saints really should target after, just downfield against Will Johnson.
Yeah, I could pull it up real quick. I don't have the. Okay. I don't have the. Let's see. So Olave, now obviously 40-yard dashes and everything, but Olave is a 4.39 40. Shaheed doesn't have a recorded 40-yard dash, not even at a pro day.
It's probably fast.
That's
Brandon
fast,
Cooks.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks is a little bit older, but he was a 4.33. And Mason Tipton was a 4.33. And does anybody have Trey Palmer's? I have these recorded before.
Trey Palmer's is like a 4.31, was it?
And wasn't Devon Vele like a 4.4 something?
It was a 4.5.
Devon Vele was fast too.
But he's still fast. Like,
yeah.
Palmer's 4.33.
So
Then Will Johnson never ran one last year because he was injured.
Will Johnson was if the whole season guaranteed top 10 pick, top corner in the draft besides Travis Hunter, but that's different. Like he was going top 10, and then there was injury issues, but also his tape, he was just getting beat so much. I compared him to Marshawn Lattimore, like looking at the highlight. If you just look at highlights, that's Marshawn Lattimore right there. Like it's amazing, but he was getting beat. Like if the Saints take advantage of one thing in this game, if the run game doesn't work, it's that.
And I was just looking it up. Will Johnson, so he didn't officially run a 40 time because I believe he was dealing with a calf or something like that last draft cycle. But he's estimated to run mid 4.5s, like 4.56, 4.53, somewhere around that was his estimated times.
Yeah, and you go ahead, Nick, before because I'm about to move on.
I was about to move on as well with something that I think we forgot to mention. Something to look out for that we did not mention is who will be replacing JT Gray at gunner. We have yet to talk about JT Gray, the release of JT Gray. The Saints' 2 gunners from last season are no longer on the roster, and JT Gray and Rico Payton. some guys that could possibly fill that role. You got Isaiah Stallbird. His speed would really fit there, and his tackling abilities. You've also got a lot of the wide receivers actually saw time at gunner during the preseason. So maybe you have guys like you bring up Kevin Austin Jr. from the practice squad to be a gunner. Even if Quincy Riley gets the start at corner, you have Isaac Yadam to be a gunner who's been there for you before and has done well. But I just wanted to touch on the JT Gray release real quick because it's something we touched on very early in the offseason, actually. And Caleb actually didn't have JT Gray on his initial 53-man roster. So it was surprising that he did make the 53-man roster, but then was released afterwards. That wasn't kind of how we thought it would go down. Kellen Moore said it was one of the hardest things they've had to do so far this year, and that it was a really challenging decision. But like I said before, with the new kickoff rules and the Saints continuing to find these special teams gems, it's going to be harder to make the roster by just being valuable on one side of the on just special teams. When so many of these young and hungry players have the versatility to do both. So that's just kind of what we kind of saw it coming for JT Gray. I know it sucks. Look, Alvin Kamara tweeted about it. He wasn't very happy. Tyrann Mathieu recently retired. He wasn't very happy about it. He clearly had a special connection with the locker room and to the city, and he will be missed. He did sign with the Baltimore Ravens. So, look, he's got a better chance at getting that championship now. So, good luck to JT Gray, and I'm intrigued to see the Saints end up putting at gunner because I think they have a lot of good options in the building.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
one of
Saints
them.
have. I'm gonna go ahead and then you go ahead. The Saints have kind of, they've done the we're not rebuilding. But then they've fully bought into the rebuilding thing, and now you got to find who is going to be your next JT Gray after JT Gray. JT Gray isn't super old or anything, but they let him go play for a contender while they find their next guy to fill that role.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons I had GT Cray released on my initial 53-man roster was because I had Rico Payton still on the roster. And I thought, oh, Rico Payton's so good on special teams. Oh, he's the perfect person to replace. On my next 53-man roster, I said, okay, I think they're going to keep JT Cray anyway because he still is important to this team. He's going to be a captain. They ended up releasing him. But the only reason I was okay with them releasing him was because Rico Payton was on the roster. If you don't know, Rico Payton is currently on the Giants. So that's why I was so confused by the decision. If you, as kind of Nick said, if you are trying to win, it's such an opposite move. Now, do I think Jonas Sanker could absolutely dominate in that role? Yes, I think he could be amazing in that role also. But I just thought it was a little weird, and they did save money, but as kind of Kyle also said, it felt like a rebuilding move. It really felt like, hey, we're just not at the point where we need you on our roster because we're not going to be winning many games, which is very interesting.
And then I think it's also worth noting another one of the Saints gunners from last year was also picked up from waivers, and DeMarco Jackson to the Bears. The Saints have lost a lot of their special teams core from the last couple of years, including Darren Rizzi to the Broncos. So it'll be interesting to see how the special teams unit performs this year. Look, the Saints special teams unit has been the strength of the team for years now. Phil Galliano had a pretty strong special teams showing in his first time as special teams coordinator this preseason. Saints came away with a muff punt. So I'm not too worried about that. But something that you noted was the fact that when you release a 3-time All-Pro, that's a move that you would make if you were like you said, it's not a winning move. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the Saints made that move just to go back and sign Jake Haener to the roster again. So that tells me that the Saints didn't value I don't know what you would call it, like the opposite of versatility of JT Gray. And look, well, I wouldn't say they didn't value, obviously, because he had 3 All-Pros there and he was a captain for years. But to release him a couple hours before the team voted on captains, it's just very telling of the direction the Saints are heading right now. Clearly, they're just unsure of their roster depth right now, and just using up a spot for a special teams ace is probably just not your best bet when a lot of these guys that are going to be gunners for you are still fighting for roster spots at defensive positions as well. or at wide receiver as well. And the Saints needed a third quarterback on the roster if they wanted to use that emergency third quarterback. So it's a move that I think had to be done. It's not a very pretty move by any means. Obviously, you just released a 3-time All-Pro for a third-string quarterback that was released and cleared waivers. So it's not like you made a eye-popping move, but it's a move that I think made sense for this season and what the Saints need to have enough players ready to go for game day.
And I think the killer for JT Gray was that his versatility wasn't the best on defense. Like he really wasn't the best just safety when he needed to play. And I think that was just I'd rather have Jonas Sanker potentially be that gunner, that gem on special teams, for example, and we know he can play safety. You don't have to use 2 roster spots for a backup safety and a special teams ace. You have that in one person now. So I think that, and that's another reason why I was like, I wouldn't keep JT Gray on the roster. And he also was dealing with injuries early in training camp. So it was kind of the perfect storm for this to happen. I'm just surprised that it happened so late. And it's going to be attached to that you basically cut JT Gray to put up Jay Kaner back on the roster, which that's the connection. As you said, it looks ugly. This isn't a move that's going to be praised by anyone, really. Maybe saving money, but that's about it.
And you only saved about $1.2 million, I believe it was, something very small.
Like it wasn't much.
It was more of a roster move than it was a money-saving move, I would say.
Yeah.
And I saw people saying that we should have traded him. No one was going to trade for JT Gray, sadly. Like, would have loved it, maybe get a 7th-round pick, but no one was going to trade for JT Gray just because he's a special teams ace, and that kind of is getting removed from football a little bit with how the kickoff rules are being changed and everything's being changed. It's such a weird position now where it's kind of become not meaningless, but like a little less you could put anyone there.
Yeah, and one of the things is like when you look at the move, did the Saints get better? No, they didn't get better. They probably got worse, actually, right? You got worse in a unit that you were pretty good at for a few years. But it's been a thing of developing these guys, getting these guys ready for the future. The Saints have a history of pretty good special teams guys. Chris Banjo, Justin Hardy. It was a really good streak there until you go to JT Gray. The Saints had a great streak of these guys. And I guess the idea now is you're just looking to be the next one that can hold you for 6-7 more years. I did not mean it. Oh my God. I didn't mean to do that, man. I didn't mean to do that. Look, anyways, look, it's just you're trying to find the next guy to be that. Let's go into our final predictions. I'm sorry. So I know you, Caleb and Nick kind of already went through your guys' final predictions. You guys could just kind of re-say it or so. I just want to put a little behind mine because I did say I think the Saints could start early, score early, and then kind of dominate with the running game from there. There's not a lot of games that you look at the Saints record and be like, okay, that's pretty winnable. I am looking at this one and I'm thinking, okay, this is one the Saints can win as long as they get off to that fast start. I have the Saints winning 24-10. I think they score 3 times in the first half and only once in the second half, but they're able to smooth it out, kind of stall the game with the running game, and just be able to dominate with what we have seen is what it looked like a fast offense in that third defense. A fast defense in that third preseason game. So I'm thinking the Saints could start the season off pretty strong, win 24-10, and then for the rest of the season, we'll see how it goes. Drew, I think Drew was go ahead and give his.
Okay. I know. Yeah, I got confused there, but I think this will be a closer game than a lot of national analysts and national media are saying. But I still think the Saints fall a little bit short. Not a rookie quarterback, but a very young quarterback, first-year head coach. I think it's just going to take time for this team to be coherent and start doing really well. But I do think it's going to be a close game. So I'm going Cardinals squeeze out a victory 21-17.
Actually, going back to my prediction, I think I said 2014 by mistake. I meant 2017, but Saints, I think it's a Blake Grupe game-winning field goal. I think that's how it's going to end. I think that it's going to be a rushing touchdown for the Saints and a passing touchdown for Rattler, which I don't expect him to do much this game, but maybe 1 passing touchdown. I think the Saints give up 2 touchdowns to the Cardinals. Pretty simple. And then Blake Grupe gets, do some math, 2 field goals with the game-winning field goal.
Yep. And, we didn't even really get to mention, not that it's worth mentioning too much, but the Saints will be debuting in the golds with the gold end zones. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm hyped to at least watch football on Sunday, watch the Saints. Win or lose, it's always fun to talk about the Saints. We understand what they are this year. They're a rebuilding team looking to get better. We got young quarterbacks. So like I said, win or lose, it's going to be awesome just to see the Saints. I'm glad Kellen Moore's coming out here with if we're going to lose, if we're not going to have the greatest team out there, let's go out there and look good while we do it. But with that being said, that's it for this episode. Tune in with us on Monday as we recap Sunday's game, and we'll see you guys next time.